All right, take two. Apologies for that this morning. Let's try this again. The Arizona Diamondbacks blown out last night when they were doing the blowing out early in the game. Torey Lovullo, a defensive him, or should I go after the bullpen? Well, let's give it a second to find out. And the Phoenix Suns named their 5 head coaching finalists. Let's talk.
The Ben Garcia Show. Yeah. Woo. Best show in the land. Yup. Listen. Come and get your information from Ben Garcia. Get the latest on your quarterback, running backs, and receivers. Tune in, so any other show you don't need them. Any news that he giving out, please just believe him. Giving out the latest prediction and top-notch analysis. Wanna hear the truth, better have thick skin like callus. The latest move that your team just made can be damaging. The dudes ain't speaking no facts, they just be rambling. Lights, camera, action, turn on the show. Go get the cameraman. Yeah. Lights, camera, action, turn on the show. Go get the cameraman. The Ben Garcia Show.
What is up? Welcome into yet another edition of the Ben Garcia Show. So sorry so much this morning when it comes to just nonsense on the Ben Garcia Show where things just don't work properly. We're 2 minutes into the last show just for internet to get cut loose, and apologies for that. I appreciate you guys being so patient with me. If you are indeed in the chat this morning, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. There were a couple people here this morning, and then, of course, the internet just goes down, doesn't work out. Those are the issues that you deal with when it's a one-man band. You get insane, off-the-cusp, hot takes each and every morning, and I give you a deep dive and opinions on the Diamondbacks, the Cardinals, the Suns, and sometimes things just happen. But either way, we are back better than ever. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, potentially even tell a friend about the Ben Garcia Show, as well as follow me on all social media platforms at Ben Garcia Show. Okay, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I struggled a bit this morning on what I wanted to go with first. The Phoenix Suns have their 5 head coaching finalists, and obviously that's it's a massive deal, given the fact that the Suns have been doing this head coaching search for weeks on end, where now at this point it still seems like we still have a lot of time to go before the Phoenix Suns actually hire a head coach. And for me, I'm like, well, there's a multiple different ways I could go for this show, multiple different avenues. And I was even going to talk some Arizona Cardinals up until last night. The Arizona Diamondbacks are up 6-0. They haven't earned the right for me to be able to continue to talk about them daily. So I was just like, okay, we'll let the Diamondbacks continue to try to win games. But until that happens, until they consistently win these games, we're not just going to give them the benefit of the doubt. It's not possible. We're not doing that. It's just not happening. And I go out last night after the Diamondbacks are up 6-0. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go do some stretching. I'm going to go sit in my apartment's hot tub. And by the time the game comes back, I'll be able to reassess how the bullpen did. I didn't think that they would just shut out the Pirates, and they didn't. In fact, they went completely the opposite direction. I apologize for continuously looking down. I just got to make sure that everything is working here in this edition of the Ben Garcia Show, but thankfully, you guys have a guy who's pretty good at multitasking. But let's just start here. The Arizona Diamondbacks blow. Winnable isn't even the right word. They blow a game that they should have won. Should have won isn't even the right word. They blow a game that they needed to win, and they just let it slip through their hands. Last night is a clear representation of what the Diamondbacks are. I don't want to say that they're a bad baseball team. That feels like it's going a little too far for the Arizona Diamondbacks. But it does feel like they're at minimum not a good team. And at this point, I would say that they are the most average can get when it comes to the Arizona Diamondbacks and their major league chases of potentially going to the playoffs. And last night, there's a lot of talk. And what I really dislike is lazy arguments. Give me a reason why you feel a certain way. And last night was full of lazy argument after lazy argument to where I had to kind of put my foot down a little bit last night. And I tweeted out, and it got a decent amount of traction on Twitter. Both of my Diamondbacks tweets did last night. And last night I'm tweeting out, if you think Torey Lovullo is the sole problem, or I think the word I used was main problem, you have no idea what you're talking about. The Arizona Diamondbacks season is pretty simple to boil it down to what has gone completely wrong. And as much as Torey has done things that has driven me insane, he hasn't done it to a point where, and I've watched every single game, guys. I've watched an absurd amount of baseball this year. But if you think Torey Lovullo is the main reason why the Diamondbacks are where they are, I can't help you. That is fandom talking. That is a fanboy take. Open your eyes. Torey Lovullo can't come out of the bullpen and throw an off-speed pitch. And neither can the players coming out of the bullpen. It's not Torey Lovullo's fault that Kevin Ginkel couldn't get out anyone. It's not his fault that he's a shell of his former self. I think it is absurd to blame Torey Lovullo as the main reason for the Arizona Diamondbacks struggles this year. What I will say is I understand the frustration with Torey Lovullo. Yeah, at times I'm like, what are you doing? But it's a collection of opinions. Yes, Torey's the head honcho. But this is something where the whole staff comes up with something and they go with that. I continue to beat the drum that this is a Mike Hazen run team. This is not a Torey Lovullo run team. You have a problem, go to the top. It's Mike Hazen. And my guy Spider in the chat, it's exactly where I was going this morning. Tell me that wasn't the same conversation we were having about Bud. Bud made it pretty clear he doesn't care about the Phoenix Suns late in the season. Torey Lovullo, I've never thought doesn't care. Now, I have thought pretty clearly, does he know what he's doing at times? But it's no different than any other manager. And then people have said things like, well, how many years do you have to go without the playoffs to say that Torey Lovullo's the problem? Okay. How about you look at the rosters they were dealing with for a few years? You want Torey to win with that? You would have went through every manager at that point. You should have had 6 of them. No manager was taking the 2020 Arizona Diamondbacks to the playoffs or the 2019 or the 2021. Those teams weren't very good. Last year was a failure. They should have made the playoffs. They didn't. What happened last year? The bullpen imploded. The Diamondbacks have a bullpen issue, not a Torey Lovullo issue. And making it into something that it's not is really lazy sports analysis. You watched that game last night. I don't know how you watched the Diamondbacks game last night and tell yourself, oh, yeah, this was on Torey. It's Torey's fault. Kevin Ginkel can't throw an off-speed pitch to save his life. It's Torey's fault that Kevin Ginkel throws 92-mile-per-hour fastballs down the middle now. Listen, I have my issues with Torey. And at some point, we can talk about him. But it's pretty easy. Like, oftentimes in baseball or in any sport, it is hard to pinpoint the problem. You look at the Suns and you're like, is it Bud? Is it the players? They've already ran through a few coaches. You look at the Cardinals last year and you're like, well, that Carolina Panthers game, I know Kyler should have won that game because it's the Panthers, but that defense is abysmal. Who do you shift blame to? This is not one of those times. It's pretty easy to tell who the main culprit is for the Diamondback season woes. And it ain't Torey Lovullo. Torey has issues, and we will assess those when the time comes. They missed the playoffs this year. Depending how it happens, we will talk about Torey. And I know some people have said the fact of like, well, let's be honest, Torey also has a history of he's more of just like a speaker into players. And that's totally fair. And sometimes you can make the argument that Torey's voice has ran its course through the Diamondbacks clubhouse. Totally fair. But if you're saying that it's Torey's fault that they lost last night, what game were you watching? If you're saying it's Torey's fault that they lost the game against the Dodgers, what game are you watching? And I just want one person to answer this simple question. Who would you have rather have had last night pitch? When the game gets a little rough and a little scary, which guy in the bullpen do you trust? Someone told me last night, it was AZ Sports fan, good guy. He had said, I would have went with Kendall Graveman. Okay, you would have went with the journeyman relief pitcher who's 35 years old, who hasn't stayed on a team for longer than 2 seasons in almost a decade. That's the guy who you trusted more than Kevin Ginkel, who's been in your bullpen for years and was one of the main reasons why you went to the World Series in 2023. Guys, it's silly. It's frustrating. It's nonsense. If you are blaming Torey Lovullo for the Arizona Diamondbacks' woes, I guess I should say it like this. If you are blaming Torey Lovullo for the Arizona Diamondbacks' woes, and the main reason why the Diamondbacks are where they are, I'm not sure which season you're watching. Oftentimes, it is hard to pinpoint what the main issue is for the Arizona Diamondbacks in baseball, in football, in basketball. Sometimes it's just hard to pinpoint what the exact problem is. This is not one of those times. The main problem for the Arizona Diamondbacks is the bullpen. I can't believe I even have to say that. If you are actually watching the games and you are blaming Torey for Kevin Ginkel's inability to get a soul out, that is on you. I don't know what you want me to say. It seems like you're just a blame the coach kind of guy. At some point, can we have the conversation of the players just maybe aren't performing very well? And I continue to ask this question last night because the only argument anyone can give me was, well, Kevin Ginkel didn't have it. You have to pull him when it's time. You have to know when to pull him. And my argument has always been, okay, cool. Which guy in the bullpen do you trust to get an out? It's not Justin Martinez. He's your 9th inning guy. Outside of him, who would you have went with? Oh, Shelby Miller. Oh, yeah, he's been rocks recently. He just gave up a game not too long ago to the Giants. Oh, I would have went with Kendall Graveman. Oh, the journeyman 35-year-old relief pitcher who hasn't stuck on a team for longer than 2 seasons in almost a decade. That's who you would have went with? It's lazy sports analysis to say that everything is Torey Lovullo's fault. Torey has problems. And there have been points in this season where he's driven me a little insane. But to blame him for the Diamondback season going the way it is so incredibly lazy, and you have to just be a blame the coach kind of guy. At some point, you do have to blame the players. And outside of Corbin Carroll, Geraldo Perdomo, Corbin Burns, no one on this team has been consistently great. Brandon Pfaadt's been good, but has lost games before. Ketel Marte's been injured, so you can't count him. Can we just say this? The injuries to Justin Martinez and A.J. Puck hurt the Diamondbacks more than we thought they would. Can we just say that? Blaming Torey, I don't even know what games you're watching. I don't get it. You're watching these games last night, and I don't know how you watch that 7th inning and think to yourself, oh yeah, Torey's the problem. Torey's the problem. He can't get a guy out. It's on him. Kevin Ginkel didn't have it last night. Who the hell has had it? Who has had it out of the bullpen? Who's been one guy you trust consistently? If the answer is none, you do not have a manager problem, or at least your problem is not completely the manager. It's mostly the bullpen. I can't believe I even have to say that. This is elementary stuff here, guys. You're watching the games. You're watching pitchers every single day give up leads, and you're saying, oh, that's Torey. That's Torey. And then you're Monday morning quarterbacking it from your couch and saying, oh, I would have used Kendall Graveman. Okay, yeah, the 35-year-old relief pitcher, journeyman, who hasn't stuck with the team for longer than 2 years in a decade. Oh, I would have went Shelby Miller. Oh, yeah, the converted relief pitcher who's just been nails all year long. Oh, I would have went Justin Martinez. Okay, so you don't want him pitching the 9th. You want him pitching the 7th now. Also, he just pitched last night. And you would have gotten upset for Torey for overusing him. Dude, pick a battle. I'm so over it. It is so easy what the Diamondbacks' problem is. We didn't have this with the Cardinals last year. We're like, we think it's Kyler. The defense is bad. We didn't have this with the Suns. Well, is it Bud? Or does the big three just not work together? Do they not have the role players to succeed? We know what it is with the Diamondbacks. You're watching it every day. The good thing is, it is somewhat fixable. You're going to get A.J. Puck and Justin Martinez back. Well, Justin Martinez is already back, but you're going to get A.J. Puck back soon. Justin Martinez is going to get games under him. You can trade for someone at the deadline. The season isn't over. But it's pretty easy what the issue is. It's the bullpen. Torey Lovullo has not been a solution, but he hasn't been the main problem. Outside of Corbin Carroll, Geraldo Perdomo, and Corbin Burns, everyone deserves blame. Miro Kelly, you want to say him? He struggled at the beginning of the season. Brandon Pfaadt, really hot to start the season. Last couple of starts was good, but he wasn't elite. Ketel Marte's been injured. I mean, it's right in front of you guys. This is easy stuff. Anyways, I don't want to continue talking about the Diamondbacks if I don't have to, but last night's discourse was just ugly. And it really made me question who's actually watching the games and who's not. Last night was abysmal. And it can't keep happening. All right. Phoenix Suns have named their 5 finalists for their head coaching position. And I want to be able to dive somewhat deep into each of these guys. So the list is Sean Sweeney, who you could see in your lower corner here, and Chris Quinn, Jordan Ott, my guy Johnny Bryant, and then Dave Bliss. And that leads me to believe, I have to be honest with you guys. A couple of weeks ago, I said, you have to go Chris Quinn for the Phoenix Suns' next head coach. And that was with the fact that it looked like Johnny Bryant was out of the running. And now I have a new favorite once again. Started off as Johnny Bryant, looked like he wasn't going to be in the running, went over to Chris Quinn. I got to go back to my guy Johnny Bryant. This Phoenix Suns team needs someone who was a former player, although not in the NBA, did play college basketball. Someone that relates to the players. Someone that obviously, can relate to Devin Booker. And one of the reasons why I really love Johnny Bryant is the fact that he was Kenny Atkinson's lead assistant. And a couple of seasons ago, when the Phoenix Suns let go of Monty Williams, my number one candidate was Kenny Atkinson. Kenny Atkinson has had a plethora of success everywhere he's went. Golden State Warriors assistant coach, Brooklyn Nets head coach. That was the team with Kyrie and Kevin Durant. And then he goes over to the Cleveland Cavaliers and immediately is the 1 seed. A guy that I think is an incredibly underrated head coach is Kenny Atkinson. And then people go over and blame Kenny. Well, they lost to the Pacers. Yeah, well, guess what? The Pacers are about to go to the NBA Finals. Also, Darius Garland was injured. DeAndre Hunter was injured. That team was pretty beat up. They're completely healthy. I do think that they would beat the Indiana Pacers. But they didn't. And forget any of that. If Kenny Atkinson trusts Johnny Bryant to where if something happens, Kenny Atkinson gets thrown out of a game, Kenny Atkinson gets injured, can't stand on the sidelines, and the new head coach is Johnny Bryant, he trusts him to run his ship, then I trust Johnny Bryant. A player, or this is also someone who has been said by Chris Haynes before and other people that people around the league have seen him grow and believe that he will be one of the next great head coaches. That's from Chris Haynes' mouth. That's not from my mouth. And so I will be a little disappointed if he's not the guy for the Phoenix Suns. But the two options and the two guys I really want to focus on, because we lean a lot on reporting on this show, not my own reporting, obviously other people's reporting, it's pretty simple as this. Sean Sweeney, the Dallas Mavericks lead assistant head coach, a defensive-minded guy, which I don't necessarily love. According to John Gambadoro, those would be his two quote-unquote favorites, the leans for the job. And John does a incredibly good job with reporting, so I don't want to waste my time with the other guys. It feels like Dave Bliss as one of the other head coaching candidates and Jordan Ott are just two guys who who did really well in their interview process and made it all the way to here. Dave Bliss, not the lead assistant for the Thunder, and of course, Jordan Ott, not the lead assistant for the Cleveland Cavaliers. And it would be really hard for me to believe Jordan Ott is going to get the job over Johnny Bryant. Given the fact that Johnny Bryant is the lead assistant for the Cleveland Cavaliers, Jordan Ott, who is also assistant of the Cleveland Cavaliers, but isn't a higher assistant than Johnny Bryant. That would just be a weird mental gymnastics to hire that guy who's clearly more unqualified than Johnny Bryant. So I don't believe Jordan Ott has a real case for this job, and I don't think you should feel that either. I think Jordan Ott is pretty firmly out of the picture. But let's talk about Sean Sweeney and Chris Quinn. Let's say that these two guys are the final two candidates for the Phoenix Suns head coaching search, and it looks like, based on the reporting, these two guys are the strongest candidates. Sean Sweeney, a defensive first guy from the Dallas Mavericks, a highly regarded assistant coach and someone that obviously has got a lot of respect in the NBA. But let's talk about what he's best at. Defense. He's a defensive-minded guy. And the one thing that would get a lot of Suns fans excited for that is pretty firmly this. In 2022, he was one of the lead architects for that Dallas Mavericks team. With Jalen Brunson, with Luka Doncic, with Maxi Kleber. That team is the same team that beat the Phoenix Suns in the second round of the semifinals. And at first, I wasn't really into the idea of hiring Sean Sweeney. But if they went that direction, I think I'd be okay with it. You think back to that 2022 team where Sean Sweeney and Jason Kidd just out-schemed the Phoenix Suns. Do you remember what he did to Devin Booker? He swarmed him. 2-3 guys. He made Chris Paul a jump shooter. And the Suns had no answer for it. He knew Chris Paul would not shoot the 3-ball. He knew Devin Booker has limitations because of his physical stature, so they swarmed him. And it was kind of interesting to see his ability to take out the star player on a team and then make Chris Paul win the series with an adjustment of a team that was down 2-0 in a series. Sean Sweeney has really grown on me as a potential head coaching hire. And I got to be honest with you. If Johnny Bryant, Sean Sweeney, or Chris Quinn get the job, I'll be happy with any of them. If I was ranking them, I'd go Johnny Bryant, Chris Quinn, Sean Sweeney. But they're all pretty close. And maybe one of those guys' personality just fits better with Devin Booker. So I don't want to make these rankings so black and white. Jordan Ott, Dave Bliss, again, I can kind of push them to the side, I think. And then with Chris Quinn, one of the things that would worry me about him, because I've talked about how much I do like Chris Quinn, and here are the positives, just really quickly. Heat culture, been there for a decade plus, worked his way up from the lowest guy in the coaching room to now he's the lead assistant under Eric Spoelstra, who is an elite level head coach in the NBA. The only thing that would worry me is, why did it take so long? Why did it take 11 years for Chris Quinn to get his own shot? Why is he taking this job? If he's such a highly regarded assistant coach, why didn't he get the job last year for the Lakers? Why'd they take J.J. Redick? Or same with the Phoenix Suns. Why does he want the Phoenix Suns? This is kind of a mess of a franchise. Why would Chris Quinn put all of his 11-year stock of being in the Miami Heat system, take the Suns job? So that's the only thing that worries me. It's not necessarily anything bad for Chris Quinn, but it's like the pretty girl and you know you're an ugly dude and you're like, why do you want me? Something's got to be up, a screw loose up here. Maybe that's the case for Chris Quinn. That's the very small negative for Chris Quinn. And the small negative for Sean Sweeney is pretty simply, he's a defensive guy. I don't know if that meshes with your best player, that being Devin Booker. Maybe that leads to them moving on from Booker one day because he's not a good defender. Maybe he steps it up. Maybe he goes back to being that capable defender he was back in 2022 if you surround him around the right pieces. And then Chris Quinn. He checks a lot of boxes. Heat culture, bring that culture to Phoenix. Former player, young. This could be your next head coach for the next 20 years, both of these guys. So, again, if we're ranking these guys, Johnny Bryant, Chris Quinn, Sean Sweeney, probably Jordan Ott, Dave Bliss. That's where I would go from those 5 finalists for the Phoenix Suns job. And I got to be honest with you guys. You guys have to be too. I have went after this team, and you know I have. I have went after this team ad nauseum. I got to be honest. Suns did a pretty good job in this coaching search. If this is their 5 finalists, sure, maybe Dave Bliss and Jordan Ott you don't love. But from all reporting, it doesn't look like they're taking those 2 guys seriously. The Suns did a pretty good job. Left no stone unturned. Grabbed all the top assistants. This is a great place to be to hire a new head coach because no one else out there has got a head coaching vacancy. So whoever the Suns go with, it's going to be a good hire. And especially if it is out of these top 3, Johnny Bryant, Chris Quinn, Sean Sweeney, it's a really good place to be. So credit to Matt Ishbia, the rare credit to Brian Gregory for casting a wide net and getting what I presume to be a very good head coach out of those top 3. And even the bottom 2, who I would be a little disappointed if they picked one of those 2 guys over the other 3 guys. But I got to be honest with you. It's a pretty good job well done in terms of just the candidacy list for the finalists for the Suns head coaching job. So I'm excited to see who they're going to hire. And it sounds like they'll have a hire early next week is what has been reported out there. All right, guys. I apologize for the technical difficulties this morning. It definitely affected how many people came into the chat this morning, but that's what happens. I could have easily shut down the show for the day. We're not doing that. I'm here to talk. I'm here to let it rip. And for all you guys being in the chat this morning, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Definitely do me a favor and like the stream this morning because we lost all those likes from earlier today. That would really help me out. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, follow me on all social media platforms at Ben Garcia Show. And I'll see you guys for the final show of the week because we do Monday through Thursday here on the Ben Garcia Show at 7 a.m. And it's going to be a doozy. It's going to be a banger. I have a really crazy Cardinals take that I'm going to save for tomorrow that I would have used today had the Diamondbacks not pissed me off. But I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching the Ben Garcia Show.